Welcome back everyone, Ronin here. Today I decided to talk about stats because there's a bit of a system that at first myself was not happy with the main stats. It didn't quite make sense until you get to about the end of the alpha and you get really good gear, and I feel that once the game fully releases and we can go past Act 1, things will be better. So I think there's a greater perspective we have to take on this, and I think once you realize what I think I've realized, it actually makes sense. And it's a good way to balance the game at the same time. So, we're going to cover main stats today in this video. Now, what a lot of people are complaining about, and I was the same way at first. So now we're level 3. Only 10 stats, you're at minus 30. For strength. Same for any main stat. So these three main stats are going to remain the same at minus 30%. And that's going to keep going because it's based off of your level and monster's level compared to you. So basically, if you're level 3, it's based off an enemy at level 3. Now, if I want to put some points in there, it doesn't take long, depending on your level, to catch up. Even if I put my 4 points right now, because at level 3 I'm behind, it's still gonna be minus 10%. Oh shit, it reload, because I forgot you cannot undo those points. Now, if you had enough points, which I probably have to load up another game, it will stop at plus 30%. So you have this 60% damage. Yeah, it's reset. You have this 60% window of damage. So it's either minus 30%, plus 30%. But it'll never go higher or lower. So this will probably promote hybrid classes. Because then you won't want to spend all your points in one place. Because there's no point adding more damage to your skills. The only other thing it's going to add is, you look here, accuracy, but that's based off of whatever weapon you're using. In this case, daggers. So she's a finesse character right now. If you go unhanded or unarmed, then it's based off strength. If you go with a staff, which I don't know if I have one right now, it'll go based off int. The only thing I can see happening is your dodge chance could keep going up. So from finesse, you get 5% at 13. You keep going up, 2% per point. Not bad. But the same idea rests that the more points you put in, then when you're on par, if you add more points, you'll get 5%. And then depending on the scaling, the higher level you are, the smaller the scaling. So by level 20, it's probably only worth 1% per point type thing at your level. Now still, people may be confused with this, but trust me, it works out. Because you need to spend a lot of points on memory, wit, constitution. I don't know. I don't like to play with much constitution. I feel be able to avoid the hits. I don't know how it's going to end up late game because you can't always avoid a hit. So where this is going to change is gear. And I'll pull up one of my other characters. Gear towards the end of the alpha starts being really good. You start getting maybe 6, maybe even more, 8 stat points by level 8 or 9. Now those stat points will help, so you can plan around your character what he needs. So if you play a strength-based character, you have to spend some memory or wit, then that's going to take away from you being able to put strength points in. Or you can get gear that covers the wit, the memory, because you'll need a lot of memory to be able to have multiple skills. So this is why the Blood Rose bug, yes, it's slightly OP, but what it really helps you with is your memory, wits, constitution. Sure, you get those skills and you'll get extra dodge, great, but really, it's going to be only great for a hybrid class. Because you'll get a plus 30% regardless of what you're using, and your spells will increase. Because this also increases your spells and your skills. Not your melee attack damage, I don't think. So let's go over strength. It determines your accuracy with strength-based weapons and your damage with warfare skills, and decreases the heavy equipment penalty. So whenever you have something that is heavy, I don't have anything. This we just started. Maybe the shield? -5 movement. So the more strength I would have, in theory, should remove or reduce the penalty. It may not reduce it here, but in my movement, it may have gone up. Let's go check. Movement is 4.8. Which is great because warriors now are extremely mobile. Like, it is just great. They can cover a lot of ground with the right skills. 4.63. There you go. So, it says right there, if you hover over it, by 33%. If I can put more points, 42%. The more strength you end up having, you can move farther with heavy gear. Which these guys have, like, no heavy gear at all. Him is basically the shield. Another reason why shields aren't that great. So that's for another video. For gear, I guess. I'm not a big fan of shields in this version, unless they put in a buff or like a certain amount of skills that are for shield users. The only thing it would be good for is if you're a wand user and you just want a bit more armor. Not yeah, like the armor bar, not like damage reduction, because that does not exist. So then that was for strength. Finesse. Finesse determines your chance to hit with finesse-based weapons, and also the damage of huntsman and scoundrel. So basically your range skills and your rogue skills. Ranger skills, rogue skills. Increases your dodging. So that's pretty good because at this level it's 1.7% per point. Now that's gonna get reduced the higher level you are. So it's gonna scale. You can't expect to just have a really high dodge rate until the end of the game. Now gear will help with you with that, but I don't think it shows up. I don't have anything that will add to dodge right now. It doesn't show up here, which what I'm thinking, I could be wrong, is that 3% to dodge could be 3% of your dodge skill. So if you have 10%, it's only 3% of that, so it's 0.3% that you're adding yourself, not a flat out 3% chance to dodge the ability. So that's going to need a bit more testing, but that could be a potential factor if you consider. You always have to think about these things in RPGs or any games really that give you buffs. Is it a flat out buff, or is it based off of what you already have? That's going to be really important, and we'll do some testing later if it starts showing up. Intelligence determines the accuracy of intelligence-based weapons, not spells. Spells will hit, and by weapons, I'm sure I have a caster here. No staffs. The Staff of Magus counts as an attack, not a spell. It has missed. It can crit. Actually, has it missed? Yes, it has missed before. So that counts as an attack. Or, you know, if you have your wands doing this, it requires accuracy. It doesn't guarantee hit anymore like it did in the Enhanced Edition, I believe. Now, same idea, they all scale the same. Also improves the elemental damage of necromancy and summoning spells. I think it's all spells. No. That makes sense. Oh yeah, elemental. So yeah, all skills. Misread the elemental. So any of the Aerothurge, Geomancer, Hydro, Necro, Pyro, those 5 skills will get improved. Like it did in the original Sin. Constitution is just flat out health. It says 1 is for 10 HP. That may or may not scale. It does. The more you put in, the less it's like viable. So every time I put a point, I lose. Well, not every time, but every couple points, I will lose how much I get from it. So there's a diminishing return. I don't expect, because before in the original Sin, I would put Vitality for my AP. I didn't even put it for my health. So I'm suspecting it's going to be the same here. I'm not going to get hit all too much, except for maybe for bosses. Could prove to be a challenge now. Only put a little bit in there. just if you don't feel comfortable, your characters can take a hit. That would be my suggestion, because you can probably either deal more damage, avoid more attacks, have more spells available to you, or more wit, which wit is going to be huge because that's your initiative. So that's for constitution. Memory. Every 2 points, and I don't think this scales, you get a new slot. So by a new slot, I mean these here, and these are huge. I mean, depending on the class, I found Ranger can get away with not having too many because you have your arrows. You know, Warrior will need them. Mage, huge if you want those spell combinations to go properly. If you have 2 mages, even if just a 1, being able to cast either oil, you know, pyro after that, contamination, any like poison abilities, anything. You need to heal someone. You want to have those skills. Mages are going to need memory like crazy. And same with warriors, because warriors you want to be able to move around the field. So every time I put 2 memory, so I have 5 slots. I'm going to put 4 points. Now I'm going to have 7 slots. And you can see the difference right here. Now I found some gear that's supposed to give me slots. Makes it kind of wonky past about 11 or 12. But it does work if you have the flat stat value of just putting in points. So it does work. I've had like 17 or 18 with the Blood Rose bug. So trust me, it's worth it. Now, Wits. Wits is your critical chance, initiative, magic armor, and your ability to detect traps and hidden treasure. You always want to have one character that's going to be like so high on wit, because you want that chance to find treasures and traps. Now, it also suffers from diminishing returns, so the more points you put in, the less it's going to go. And plus by your levels. It's not really just the points you put in, it's by your level. So right now I'm only getting 0.8 per point. Just make sure you hover. And then it'll show. So you see my initiative's going up, my crit rate's going up. And this is really good for a rogue and ranger. If you plan on making a mage, you would get half the value if you get it's called Savage Sortilege. So if you get this skill, half of your crit chance is going to be factored into spells. And trust me, don't overlook this skill. I'll make a guide about it. It is good if you make a pyromancer. You make other classes, may still be good. I mean, depends on your spells. Are you doing damage or are you doing more or less TC? So it may be useful to pump some wit into your mage, but even with rage, you're only gonna get, you know, like right now I get 60%. So that covers the main stats. Now let's just go over these real quick. Your damage is by your weapon and depending on your main stat, because it does affect the skills, but not the straight out damage. Let's confirm this. If I put more finesse, it's not going to go up. I'm going to reload. Pay attention to what goes up when I put stats in to my characters. It's only going to affect these skills down here. So let's say 15 to 17 for this skill. It's not going to up... Oh, it did. Actually, it did up my damage from finesse. So it does say that. Okay, it doesn't say in the definition that it would up your damage. It does up your melee damage. And here was 15, 17, now it's 21, 23. So your skills go up. But there's a limit, because even if you pump all strength, you're at plus 30, it would stop at that plus 30. This is why it's important to note for hybrid classes and late game, you will have enough points through your armor to diversify your character. So you could have a warrior with sawtooth maybe, but you probably require a dagger, so you wouldn't do that. You never know. I mean, warrior could maybe be viable. I don't think so, but there's still a lot to come to see how it's going to work. Now, so that did not increase my crit chance. If I wanted higher crit chance, I go with wit. But if you pay attention to wit, it also increases my initiative. But right now it's per point, but it might actually be 0.8. It's just first point is 1, or Yeah, so 0.8, it may still increase. Then 1.6, then the third point shouldn't go up. That's why it doesn't go up, because it's just a math. It rounds up. But my crit chance went up, and my initiative went up. Initiative is huge, and I highly recommend at least a few points at the beginning of the game in Wits. So your accuracy is based off your weapon, so in this case it would be int. So it's going to go up based on your int. You do not need that much to be able to guarantee hits. I've noticed that. You'd have to have a pretty low... Well, if I remove this at 10, then your accuracy drops. But if I'm based off strength, even a single point, it jumps up. You will not have to worry about too much investment into a main stat for accuracy. Then we have dodging. Well, that's just straight out finesse, and it says 5% at this level. It may scale. If I want to increase, see, it said 5%. No, 1.7, sorry. 5% was the damage. So 1.7 for dodging. My dodging went up. Armor is straight just out the gear. Just whatever you're wearing. She has nothing. She has 12 from probably pants. Yep. Any magic? Nobody has magic yet. And that leaves movement. We already covered movement. That's based off strength and whatever gear you're wearing. She does not have any heavy gear. So she can move far. Movement speed bonus is probably from her scoundrel right there. Yeah. Plus 10%. There's lots of ways to make a character faster. You can even use that on a warrior. Initiative. Initiative is huge. I can't stress it enough. You want to attack before the enemy. Even if you don't want to attack that turn before him, you want to make the move towards you. That's why you have the delay option. So if you're not attacking before the enemy, you don't get that option. You don't get to plan and strategize. This is why initiative is huge, and I still highly recommend getting leadership. The problem is, you need to get leadership 4 now, not leadership 1, for it to work. So it's a bigger investment, but throughout the game you get more of these points, so I'm not too worried about it. Especially if like you have a human gives +1 base in leadership. So XP and any resistances. I don't think I have any resistance. Nope. So that covers attributes, your main stat, main page.